Hey, it's MK and I am here with another Stretch the Sketch layout for you guys today. And today I have week 50 from, I believe it's Dusty Attic, made by Jennifer herself. So I'm going to stretch this sketch and I'm going to use these two black pieces of paper, mostly because I'm going to matte everything in black. The photos, the papers, everything. And usually I very rarely do this because A, it's time consuming, and B, it's a lot of product. But I'm okay with doing that because I have a ton of Christmas stuff, you guys. So I have 4 photos that I'd like to play with. This beautiful plaid print that is my favorite. This packaging here that is from the film strip collection from Christmas Spectacular. Another one of these candy striped pieces. It's my favorite, you guys. I bought several sheets. I also bought several sheets of the plaid too. I'm just now getting to the end of one sheet, so I haven't pulled out multiples. And then these wood grain pieces here are from a collection from close to my heart. I want to say 2013, 2014, somewhere in there. I know that it's super old. They're very, very thin. They're not quite to their cardstock elements that they are yet, but anyways. And then I wanted to share with you guys that I did recreate one of these clusters because I think it matches perfectly with the gingerbread houses that my kids and I are making, and then my husband's taking goofy photos of us. Yep, that's what he does. So in conjunction with that cluster, I decided to pull out a few more. I pulled out all the houses that are in all the embellishment kits. Not kits, but embellishment packages. I pulled out a few of my acrylic pieces that were wood planks, wood post signs. I'm going to use the Candy Cane Lane one. And then for my Little Village houses, I took a couple pieces of them and took my white paint pen and colored them just to give them a little bit of frosting. But I didn't want to add a whole lot of color. I think it's going to take away from the wood part, or the gingerbread part, I should say. And then I doubled up some of my buttons that came from the cluster kit from the 49 and Market Christmas Spectacular cluster kit. So went ahead and I just doubled them up so that way they looked like they were in frosting instead of just being slapped on my page. So some of them I did, some of them I did not, just for a different look. All right, so I'm going to take this piece. Now I cut my, my husband just brought me coffee. Thank you. So I cut my wood grain down to 8.5 by 11. And because I'm going to put this piece of packaging as my strip going down, I am going to leave it the width that it is, but I'm going to trim it down. I was trying to keep about an inch at the top and the bottom of my wood grain. And then I had to factor in the black pieces as well. So what I did was I just cut it, and then I plan on making the black piece the 1 inch above and below, and maneuvering my my wordy packaging based off of the fact that I think a photo is going to cover up the seam, so you won't be able to see it. And then I did the same thing with my candy stripe. I cut it where the packaging was going to not show, and so that way I don't use up my whole packaging. And then the same with my plaid print. I'm going to cut it and extend it past the packaging too. Now, like I said, I'm going to back all of these or matte them all in black. Now, normally I don't like to do this because, again, it is time consuming. I can't remember the sizes, so I'm constantly remeasuring. I want 1/8 of an inch showing all the way around. That way the black does end up showing. For the candy stripe, I will be cutting that down just a little bit, so that way I don't use up all my candy stripe, even though I do have half of the paper left. I think my candy stripe is about 5.5 inches tall. And then I just took the 12 by 12 and then whatever, I just cut off the other side because, I make things difficult on myself. And then my my plaid is about 6.5 inches by 4, I believe, and then of course my 1/2 inch by 4, and then I'm just trying to make a black piece to match. And the Caterpillar, the green cutter, is not exactly accurate. So when it comes to measurements like this, I'm very OCD, you guys. I am a lot. And part of that is just me. It doesn't have anything to do with the machinery, but the Caterpillar isn't accurate. I've been struggling with it ever since I purchased it, but it is not accurate. I put it at 6 inches and I get 6 1/8, or I get less than 6 inches, somewhere in there. Now, normally it doesn't bother me, but when I mat things, it bothers me, because then I feel like one side or the other, or the top or the bottom, something is wider somewhere, and I can see it, and that's all that I can see. I've tried to ignore it on a couple layouts, but seriously, it just does not work. And so I have to bring out my guillotine cutter where I can and help me square it off, or trim it down a little bit. And usually I trim it down too much, and oh my gosh, it's just a never-ending story. All right, so I did have to cut into my black cardstock ever so slightly just for this one last piece that was 6.5 by 4 inches, which is not a big deal because I still had to cut into it to mat my photos. Now, when I go to mat my photos, I forgot to I forgot to mat the photos on the left. So when I went to go and put blah blah blah. When I went to go put adhesive on the back, I forgot that I did not mat them, and so they came apart, and I was like, oh, that's a happy mistake. Go me. But anyways, this was the first initial idea that I had, was put my large photo over on the left, and then my smaller photo just down below on the left, and then my 2 4x3 photos that were 4x6s, but I trimmed them down over on the right. Well, I didn't like the fact that my husband barely put his face. So he came that way. He did not put his face in the middle of the photo. He purposely did a profile picture, or a half picture of his face. It's not profile because it's not the side of it. But he purposely cut his face off in the frame. And so the embellishments kept throwing me off. Like, I really want to put this here, but then it looks like it's coming out of my husband's head. And I didn't want to just ignore it. I didn't want to just keep creating the layout and completely ignoring it. So I'm leaving the right side for now. But truth be told, this is just a waste of time. I don't end up leaving it like this, but it's my process, and I enjoy sharing my process with all of you, and showing you guys that it's not always a slap it down and I'm done layout. Sometimes I'll put the whole thing down and then decide, no, I don't like that. And end up rearranging the entire thing, especially where I've got all these large elements for the left side of my page, the bingo paper, the tag, the the postcard that has my little houses housed on it, and then of course another door frame. They're all so large. Like, I didn't pick anything that is small to go with any of these elements except for my little houses, and so they're just not working in my favor. In fact, they're the same. They're almost the same size as the photo of the little gingerbread house that I created. So here I'm going to try to rearrange them again and have them go a little bit more to the like they're behind the plaid and in front of the plaid, a little bit more scattered out. So I have 2 different embellishment clusters on the one page instead of one giant one. I found a couple more chipboard stars. I was a little disappointed that they were 2 red and a black, but I do feel like I have enough green, especially if I don't cover up a lot of my plaid. So here's where I decided, you know what, I'm not liking this because it's my husband's head. Yep. I'm blaming it on him. If you ask him, he says I always do. So what's new? But I didn't like how those embellishments on the left side. I did like what I was doing on the right side, finally, but the left side was not, or the right side was not happening for me. So I decided to switch everything. So I put everything that I had on the right side and moved it over to the left. Now I like it a lot more because my husband's head isn't bursting with embellishments. So now I'm going to try to scatter my embellishments again over on the left side. And now I feel like I have a little bit more freedom because the postcard works better over on the left, especially now that I don't have to have it upside down like it was. So it can house my house and my little post sign that says Candy Cane Lane. And then I can have the same elements that I already picked for the left. I can still keep those over on the left. They work a little bit better with them being behind me instead of part of me. So I like that a lot more. I'm going to go ahead and have some of them cascade down, and then I'm going to add that little house again, but I'm not going to bring in the other bingo card. I'm just going to leave the one bingo card. Now I should have switched it out so that way I could add a little bit more green to it, but I never even considered it. Like, I just really like how this looks now. So I'm going to go ahead and glue everything together. I went ahead and I added the houses. Now the houses, all my wood veneer comes with a adhesive backed. So all of my houses are, were just super easy for me to add to this cluster. I really like what they add to the cluster, where they have a house in the back and then or a door frame in the back and then houses in the front. I really like that. It was one of my favorite pieces, and I'm glad that I actually stuck with trying to get it to work. I like how the poinsettias kind of fall off the candy stripe frame in that they were. But my postcard was a little bare, so I found this wreath and I decided to add it to my postcard. And then that way it looks like my house and my post, my post sign, all that stuff. My house is my post sign and my post card. Wow, that's a lot of posts. They all look like they mesh well together now just by adding that little wreath inside, that holly wreath. I do end up ripping my Santa tag in half because it was too big, it was too tall, but I really wanted Santa peeking out behind that one of the door frames. I don't know why, but I really did. And part of that is because Santa brings us these, the elf brings us these gingerbread objects. I don't always want to say they're houses because not always they're houses. In fact, my daughter's working on cookies while the boys are working on houses, and then I worked on a house. And so the elf brings them to us, and then we all make these gingerbread objects together and just have a fun. We make our own frosting because there's never enough in the kit. We buy extra candy because, again, there's never enough in the kit. And so we just have a blast making and creating our own little things. I think last year we ended up doing gingerbread ninjas. It was so fun. We had a blast. Even Dad got into making the ninjas with us. So those photos are to come, I promise, because we had so much fun. I took way too many photos because we actually bought the cookie cutters ourselves and made the cookies and stuff. So it wasn't a kit. And we just enjoyed the living daylights out of it. All right, so now that I finally got the orientation the way that I want it, I love this layout. I do love the matting of the black. I really do love how this looks, and I love seeing it on other people's layouts. I just don't have the patience for it. It is not something that I enjoy doing a lot of, but when I do it, I do enjoy how it turns out and how it looks. I'm glad that I got all these extra large embellishments to work well and play well with each other without having to add a ton of teeny tiny little embellishments to make them all work as well. All right, so this was part of a Stretch the Sketch. Stretch the Sketch is something that we do every third Sunday of the month. Actually, there's only one third Sunday of the month. So every month on the third Sunday, we pick a sketch. We or Janet, because this is Janet's brainchild, we pick a sketch to stretch or shrink. So we can shrink it all the way down to a tag or stretch it all the way across a 12 by 12 or two 12 by 12 layouts, as long as it is not the same exact as what it was in the sketch. So if it was already a 12 by 24, then you have to either stretch it farther and make it bigger, or shrink it down and make it smaller, or just do one side of the 12 by 24 layout or sketch. And so, yeah, it is super fun and definitely makes you rethink about a sketch. It really does. It's super fun. So anyways, there are links down below for everyone that is playing along with Stretch the Sketch. And then there is a playlist down below for those that are playing along with Woodgrain and Winter. And it's basically just having wood grain layouts. Having winter layouts and then adding wood grain to your Christmas collection, which I have just been having a blast doing all month long, you guys. It's been super fun. All right, so thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really, truly appreciate it, and I will check you all later.